So this is Harwich Energy and Climate Action Committee meeting for August 11th, 2022. Charlie in attendance, are all of us. And Marie, how do you say your last name?
Marasco.
Maria Marasco, she's on the agenda from CVEC.
Yeah. MARASCO.
M-A-R-A.
Mara, water, SCO.
Yeah, it's number 9 on your agenda, so it's right down there.
Would you mind
I'm gonna put you in the beginning. Yeah.
Only because I have another meeting at 4.
So we call to order. There is no public here. We're going to jump down to CVEC and get an update from Maria.
Okay.
Can we just talk very briefly through number 3?
We're going to come back to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
leaving it out. She just needs to
I
get
just
going.
asked if you wouldn't mind taking me out of order, so I can.
So that's
So
what we're
anyway,
doing.
so I represent the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative. The town of Harwich is a member. All of our members are municipal entities. It includes the county, Barnstable County, so municipalities. And then if you want to, if a government entity like the water department or the fire department wants to have a project with us, they're allowed to participate. But our members are all municipalities, primarily, plus the county. It was established in 2007 as an offshoot from the Cape Light Compact, because at that time the Cape Light Compact could not operate or own, I'm not quite sure, projects. So if you flip our enabling legislation, we're a strange little animal. We're deemed a government entity, but we're incorporated as a corporation in Massachusetts.
We're a hybrid.
Yeah, quasi, we call it, but anyway, but we follow all the rules, and we have our own special legislation that talks about electric cooperatives. So on the next page, you'll see all of the projects that CVEC has in its portfolio. And these are the projects, you'll see on, I didn't number the pages, but on the first list, these are all the projects where CVEC oversaw the procurement.
What's colors mean?
Again,
Oh, okay.
a procurement and the development. The green means that they're operating, they're
Got
turned
it.
on, okay? The red, the pink and the red, they're in, and we'll get to it, the Eversource distribution studies, and I'll get to that. And then the yellows are under construction. And if you flip, so these are where, these projects are, again, CVEC had a hand in building them. The next page, where CVEC also buys energy from third-party sources. Their future generation wind, the windmills out in Bourne or Buzzards Bay, and then there are 2 other solar farms that we buy the energy on behalf of the towns, and then we resell them the energy. We call those people the off-takers of that energy. So just quickly, so CVEC has a grand total of over 55 megawatt projects, either built or under construction, and pending contracting. But as of this past fiscal year, we had 45 megawatts in installed capacity. So
good.
it is a formidable player in the renewable energy market.
What's the total consumption of power on the plant?
I don't know.
I mean, is it 2% or 100%?
I don't know, but I'm happy to get back to you.
Well, I mean, I'd like to know that. I mean, what is the...
What are you saying, Charlie?
Well, what's the total, if 45 megawatts...
If we provide this much energy,
How
right,
much of
what
that
is the need?
Cape Cod use in a year?
Well,
Somebody ought to know that, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I can probably tell you quickly through the Cape Light Compact what the towns are using.
Right.
And as
I'm
a...
talking about the whole, Cape Cod as a whole. Is this percentage?
Well, we'll see if we can find out, but at a minimum, I think we can find out through the Cape Light
Well,
Compact.
we have to qualify that a little bit, Charlie, because
When
you have your municipal load, which is calculated sort of separately from like residential, business, and that kind of thing. So I'll check with Cape Light Compact to see if they have the ability to sort of get that kind of a number.
So I think Margaret Strong is in charge of all the clean, the
And are we
green
talking about Harwich
or Cape Cod?
I'm talking
He's
about Cape Cod.
He
You're
wants
talking
Cape
about
Cod.
Cape Cod. I'm interested in Harwich.
Well, we can find that through the
Well,
Cape
yeah,
Cod compact.
yeah.
We'll find out, we'll find out for you.
They're talking about 45
But,
megawatts throughout Cape Cod, is
Right.
that correct?
yes,
So that's why I asked, what is the total power consumption in a year in Cape Cod? Because I want to know what percentage of the power consumption that is. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why-
it's an interesting,
We need to know both.
Yeah, so Cape Cod versus the 45 megawatts that CVEC is responsible for. And
right. How much of a dent are we
Yeah, how
putting
much of a
in?
dent?
So I,
2%, unless you know those percentages, you know, you don't know, like the stock market could be 50,000, but if it's only moved 1 point, it doesn't mean anything. You see what I'm saying?
I
Yeah,
do.
But it's better than nothing. so.
Oh, I know it's better than
Right.
nothing, but I want to know, we're
We'll
talking
look it
about
up,
maybe
Charlie.
600 megawatts when the wind turbines come online here, and that's going to supposedly supply all of South.
400,000 homes.
Well, is that going to cover all Cape Cod?
No.
Okay, so still don't know what the total
Okay,
consumption is.
that is a good
Yeah,
point.
well,
It is
we'll
a
look
good-
it up.
We both will, but Valerie and I will put our heads together. So, I mean, and so, that's just a snapshot,
yeah.
and so, yes, and so Liz before me did, and before that, Maggie Downey
Yeah.
was the original administrator. Then Liz Argo came in, and she was responsible for overseeing a number of rounds, and I jumped in about 2 years ago. So, just in time for all the fun, but we're gonna get to that at the end. The good part, okay, so on the next page, you see that CVEC is branching off, and now will start owning its own renewable energy projects. The ones before, all of those projects are owned by the developer.
Right.
Okay? And in either case, either the developer leases the land from the
And I think
municipality,
that's
or
how our solar farm at the dump works. That-
actually, it's a little caveat,
Yeah.
because their earlier projects, CVEC is the lessee, and we sublease it to the developer.
Okay,
I
good.
think that's how they got it going, and then
Yeah.
eventually they realized they could lease directly to the
Got it.
Will they become
developer.
a power company in a sense?
It could, it actually could. It acts more like an aggregator than anything else.
What does an aggregator mean?
Like Cape Light Compact.
Buys energy from all different kind of sources and resells it, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And you have the legislation to do that?
I think that's it. I think it is in the legislation to be able to do that.
Okay.
Whether or not, I don't think we have the fortitude to do that. So, but anyway, but now,
Are these number of millions of participants, are these in Cape
no, those are
Cod?
kilowatt hours.
Oh, okay. It says
That's the output. That's the guaranteed annual output of these projects. So,
Participants, no, that's 9% participants.
okay, so in CVEC 7 projects, there are 5 participants. There are 5 municipalities that use that 825,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year. And CVEC, the bills come into CVEC, and we divvy them up, and we send out either the difference between the net metering credit that Eversource is giving and the cost that the developer is charging. So in most cases, these costs are less than 10 cents, less than 12, just generally less than
Right.
12 cents. And then CVEC is getting net metering credits for more than that. So the towns are actually saving, essentially, the difference between what they would pay without the solar, right? Which is anywhere from 17 to 18 cents, unless they're in a pooled contract, right?
Most of them are, yeah.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
So what
We-
is the difference?
the difference is that the energy cost is going to be less than what it would be without it.
How much?
So far.
It varies.
It varies. Now, it varies because the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has put in place incentives. The SMART program, you've heard about that? So, for example, in the last round, it says, if you build renewable energy, the developer gets an incentive to reduce the cost of energy by pennies. So, for example, if the developer said, we can build this project and provide you the energy for 16 cents, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts says, oh, well, you have to give developer give the towns, the public adder, sell it for 14 cents, and the state will give the developer the 2 cents.
Got it.
So
Make it-
how
that's the
much-
simplest way that I
So we would
can-
have to pay 16.
No, the 14. So
We
I'm
would
just
have
saying,
to
if
pay
the cost
14.
of energy is 15, the incentives will lower the rate depending upon
And
the
the state
value of
makes
the
up the
incentive.
difference.
But right now it's 17.
That's
No,
not,
no,
we're
no,
talking
I
big-
say it's just rule of thumb. Just
Eversource is charging 17.
Right, but these projects would be making their own electricity, so it's like,
Yeah,
these are not connected
And
to
you
what
want
you
to
and I are
sell to
paying.
Eversource?
no, we're selling to the town of,
Right,
let's say the
directly.
town of Harwich.
Okay, so I wouldn't benefit from that because it's not for
No,
a town
that's
of
just,
Harwich.
okay, so that's what you need to understand.
Yeah.
This
Just
CVEC has
municipality,
only
then.
thing to do with the
Right, the town.
towns.
Okay,
That's,
okay.
How we
Very
benefit is,
Right now.
hopefully our taxes don't go up.
exactly,
That's how we
exactly.
benefit.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so, if you look here, let's go back. So we have Harwich. We have a project in the early rounds that were at Harwich Elementary School. That's really Nauset Regional School District, right?
No.
No, Monomoy.
Oh,
Monomoy,
Monomoy, excuse me.
Monomoy.
I always get the two confused, Monomoy. And then you have your landfill, okay? It's
Right.
actually, you don't have off-takers, so that's a boo-boo in my typing. Cash out, no off-takers. That means,
Where are we looking?
Where's the Harvard?
if you go,
Harwich
go
landfill.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh, here it
9,
is,
10,
capital
11,
landfill.
12.
Oh, Caplan.
Go 12. It's actually without off-takers, just cash out. You're not sharing the energy with anybody. I made a typo.
It goes directly to town of Harwich, right?
Cash, you get cash.
Okay.
We've got a lot of
To
money from
use-
this.
To
yeah.
use for whatever you want.
Which
and-
is different from using the electricity, right?
Right.
Which is hard for people to wrap their head around.
Okay, so when projects are so big,
How
Eversource,
much is the?
I'll get to it, I'll get to that, I'm gonna get to it.
Charlie's an engineer, so.
Oh, that's
he
why.
jumps right on these numbers.
Oh, I get it, all right, so I'm just gonna flip forward. How about this meeting serve as an introduction?
Sure.
And then I'll come back and answer any specific
Sure.
questions,
Yeah.
if that's all right with you.
So just jot your questions down and you'll get back to
And
us.
I'll answer what I can today and get back to you or come back. Happy to come back. Not in the rain, though. Traffic was a bear. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, if you go to the page where there's a Massachusetts logo, CVEC just received a $1.4 million grant to do a battery project at the regional emergency shelter, right? I think that serves as your
Yep.
emergency shelter
Is
as
that
well.
the tech?
No, at the high school on Station Avenue.
Do what?
By St.
Oh,
Pius.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's going to be a 250 kilowatt battery, and that will supplement, well, actually, when a power outage occurs, it will be the first renewable energy to kick in. And so what that will do, will serve from anywhere from 4 to 8 hours, depending upon what's turned on, right, how much it's draining. And then the diesel generator will kick in. So what it's doing is actually providing a renewable source, and then instead of having to use the diesel as much,
What school is that?
it's cleaner. The
DY.
Dennis Yarmouth Regional High School.
So it's cleaner.
Yes,
At least for 8 hours.
yeah, at least for 8 hours.
Well,
Yes.
you know,
So the next page, actually it's page 6, you can see your projects. So at the top of the page is an aerial view of the landfill. That's impressive.
it is. Yeah.
So the developer promised you 3.9 million kilowatt hours a year. Now, mind you, this project started in
Wow.
2014. Oh yeah, where's my Harwich? 2014. So every year, that guarantee goes down by 0.5%, but it really isn't going down. It's negligible at this point. They really keep it going, and then I'm going to, in here I'll show you how you can monitor it. So you're getting, so the cost is anywhere, or actually you're getting anywhere from 15 cents to 21 cents per kilowatt hour it produces.
So can I just multiply those numbers times the 33,910,000 to get the answer?
Well, what you will get, the answer is you are going to get is the cash that Eversource is giving you.
Right, that's what I asked.
Yeah, and it goes up, well, and it goes up and down every year, and it goes up and down every month.
Why Eversource?
They are the distribution company.
Oh.
So all that energy goes to Eversource, right? And Eversource puts it into the grid. It's used as a renewable source of energy. And then they say, thank you, Harwich, for building this project. And for that, we are going to give you
Money.
of the money, of the value of that net, of the kilowatt hour.
And the
And it
reason-
fluctuates.
And the reason that Eversource would even care about that is that they're required to have a certain percentage of renewable energy in their portfolio. And so they have to obtain that renewable energy from somebody. And so they go out and they tap into these projects to make sure that their portfolio meets the state regulation.
Right, and so CVIC has been doing that for some time, and you just added a new project. Oh, well, let me go back to the landfill. So we get, as I mentioned to you, we get the bills, so this is what happens with your landfill. We get a ledger from Eversource. Oh, yay, it generated this 300,000 kilowatts this month, yippee. We're gonna pay you 15 cents per kilowatt, Eversource tells us. We wait, and then we get a wire from Eversource, and then we collect that, and then we get a bill from the developer that says, okay, you got this, but you still have to pay us for.
Who is the developer?
The developer is Clean Focus, Green Skies Clean Focus.
Oh, there are so many actors in
There are more than you would want to
mind-boggling.
know. So anyway, so
They
we,
don't just pay them off at the beginning, they pay them off forever?
yeah, for 20 years. Our contracts are for 20
Like
years.
a mortgage or something?
Yep.
Their contracts, it's called a net power purchase agreement, a PPA agreement. So for that, CVEC does that for no money at all. So normally we charge everybody an administrative fee. And when Leo was here, Leo
Yeah.
Kokunis, and he
The
was
last
the,
representative to
he,
CVAC.
yeah, he was the president of CVEC. He realized in these contracts, he didn't ask the towns for, well, can we have a little money for doing your bookkeeping? So our new board decided, well, we're just gonna stop collecting that. So CVEC is doing that.
So where's your money coming from now?
Well, that's the problem, yeah. We're actually getting some from the golf course.
And you're being an aggregator, you get money from there, right?
No. We just collect from our members an administrative fee based upon the kilowatt hours. For some projects, not for all.
Okay.
None of the big landfills are paying us for
Okay.
in the first round. So anyway, with that being said, you have a new project that was just turned on recently, and there are two. There's a ground mount, there's something on the ground, and there's also something on the cart barn roof, and you can see the picture. All right?
Yeah.
So what, normally there would be 2 meters, but, and there were two contracts. But Eversource decided, well, we're just gonna give you 1 meter. So we pulled them together. So the total guaranteed output of both of the solar on the roof and the ground is over $600,000 kilowatt hours annually. And you're paying Green Skies you're paying them 6 cents, 6.4 cents.
Wicked cheap.
Wicked cheap. All right? And then you're paying us a penny to do your bookkeeping for collecting so we're actually saying, well, you're paying for, so we get the developer's invoice, we monitor, we check to see if, did they truly match up what they owe us, and then we bill you, and then we collect the money, and then we pay the developer. So we're basically your treasurer's office in a way, right?
Yep.
So now, you can monitor this, and you can, I think Charlie will love this. On the next page, there's a link to the production for the landfill. And you can play around with the numbers as much as you like. So, I gave it to you on the bottom. The other way to reach it is if you go on CVEC's website under production, okay? You can play around. There's a Harwich logo. There's a line that says Harwich Landfill, and if you click on it, you'll see what I have in this picture for you. All right.
This graph.
Yeah, that just happens to be a snapshot I did it since the beginning of time, right? So you can see how every
Wow.
year it goes up and down in terms of production, and that just correlates to the weather.
How much sun we had that year.
Exactly, thank you. You gotta come with me everywhere I go. You're Oxney
I
fan.
was a teacher.
So on the right-hand side, that scroll will tell you how much this energy is, the generation of this energy is participating to reduce carbon emissions and what that gasoline and
It's good
how
to-
much energy.
yeah, So it's kind of fun to look how much carbon it has saved and, to put
Yeah,
it in.
so please take an opportunity to go and use that dashboard. It's actually very, it's interesting.
And
This-
we
this
access
is
Oh,
the
I
link
take it
for
back.
This is the link for it?
Oh, you know what, I misspoke again, and I'm sorry, I've been doing
Is this the
landfills all
link for
morning.
this?
Yeah, yes. So I was wrong, you do have off-takers.
Of what?
What's an off-take?
Okay, so of all that 3.9 million of kilowatt hours that this project generates in a year, Harwich keeps 61.8%, and then you distribute the rest of it to other towns.
Now, is that because
Barnstable, Brewster, because
we
at the,
make too much, I mean,
well, at the time, you probably couldn't use it.
right. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind, is that for municipal projects, you can't make more than you use, because then you become an electricity producer, and municipalities don't have the legal authority to do that.
That's so ridiculous.
So
It should be workable.
Well, but, and yet, let's be mindful,
Yeah.
in 2014, when they started this, and it was built in 2016, the towns got together and let's help out each other.
Yes.
So Harwich had the land at the time,
Right.
right? And Oak Bluffs didn't, right?
Right.
So they work, it's a cooperative. So they all pulled in together.
Yeah.
So I apologize for misstating, I was working on Barnstable Landfill this morning
Yeah.
and my brain goes zappy. So, but for hosting the project, these towns are paying you an additional amount of revenue. I'm not gonna get into the math,
No,
but
no.
right now,
Yeah.
but they pay you for hosting the
That's
project.
So off-taker means what?
They take the energy, they share in the energy.
your daughter is an off-taker of your system,
Okay,
all right?
okay.
Yeah. So
She has a solar system,
Sure.
she doesn't use all of it, so she
Oh,
has her
yeah.
daughter as,
Oh,
Right.
there you, your daughter's an off-taker.
My granddaughter.
granddaughter,
Okay.
whoever you're giving it to.
So,
Doesn't really
so
matter.
last year, with the combined cash that you got from Eversource, plus the additional revenue that you got from all of those off-takers, saying thank you for hosting this project, the town received $490,000.
That's a pretty good chunk of change, from this one
And-
project.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what did they do
Just
with
the
it?
golf cart stuff?
No, this is the landfill only. We're still on the landfill.
What did they do with it?
We went into the
We
town.
went in the
Yeah,
general
it's a general
fund.
fund, so.
I don't know if they apply it to your other energy. They don't have to.
I don't think so. I think it's been going into general fund, and that's something that we can talk about, as over the, because this is happening pretty much every year. And it will come to an end at some point as far as this particular arrangement, because at the end of 20 years.
The end of 20 years, well, we have more and I'm going to give you more to think about,
Okay,
maybe not
yeah,
today.
Yeah.
But the town, CVEC could buy it. CVEC could buy the
Right.
system, the town could buy the system.
Yeah,
The developer could say, give me another 20 years, or
exactly.
or Eversource could come in and say, we'll run it for you, or whatever
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
So there's
Is that
lots of
number up
options.
here on this chart here, something?
What?
Right here, Charlie,
Yeah,
Which
where
number?
about?
in the blue box.
On the left-hand
Oh, okay,
side.
okay, okay.
And we're creating our annual reports as we speak, but
Mhm.
we're migrating data from one system to another, so
So
we'll
what's the
get there.
61.77%, what's that mean?
That's how much you owe. I mean, that's, it
Well,
said
that's what
60, that's your share.
What we use, yeah, okay.
So do these solar collectors have a life to them? I mean, at the end of 20 years, do they have to all be replaced? Is that the idea?
Well, there is, at the end of the year, something that's called decommissioning. And there is a value that, under CVEC's contract, that says that you will go to an appraiser and you will figure out what the value is.
I mean,
CVEC
Did you have to just jump them and start all over again, or what?
Well, that really depends. There is no, US solution to recycling of these solar panels just yet, and certainly
How do
not
they fail?
in Massachusetts. They just age. The inverters are replaced every some odd
Diodes fail?
years. Pardon me?
Diodes fail in the inverters?
I don't
Well, nothing's made to last forever.
know. But
I mean, really.
however, so at the end of life, there will be a decision made. So developer, do you want to spend the money to take it away and haul it away, less whatever recycling you can get? Well, we don't know, because we don't know what the value of
Do they have a
recycling is
design
going to
line?
be.
Probably you would have to go to the manufacturer and read the specs to see what.
Do you know what I can do?
Yeah.
I can have a developer call in and answer all of your technical questions one day, if you really
Yeah.
wanted to learn the
Well,
mechanics.
Well,
Yes.
we can schedule that as a separate
The
meeting,
more we
but
learn, the
just like when
merrier.
you buy a
Solar.
toaster, you'll go into the design
Yeah.
specs to it, and there is somebody, whoever the company was that manufactured these, probably has,
I used to
life-
design nuclear power plants, we
Wow.
had a 40-year life to them, we had to make everything in there good for radiation resistance for 40 years, and we had to check it all out, do charts and
So-
stuff like that. So we had a design life to it.
yeah, and I'm sure this does too.
Industry standards generally say 25 to 30 years, but CVEX contracts are 20. And the reason why is because municipal law says that you can't have a contract more than 25 years. So there's a 5-year cushion. You can extend, so when you get to 20, we could extend it for another 5. The question is, at the end of life, who wants to take it down or who wants to keep it? And what is the value, what would be the value?
Exactly.
So,
we don't have to worry about that right
They
now.
want to tear it all down and put all new stuff in there, and maybe that's got a longer life.
you know what?
We don't
I'm
know.
hoping in 20 years that
It's not our
only takes up
problem.
the size of a desktop,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be marvelous.
Yeah.
So the next page is the production of the Cranberry Golf Course, and as you see, it's, it just swoops down in the
Winter.
in the winter, right? But then just kicks back up. But the savings, okay, this was where we were talking on the savings on the next page. So assuming the energy cost that you would pay otherwise would be based upon the kilowatt hours that it produced, you would be paying $55,000. But the total savings, what you're paying is the 7.4 cents, which is the cost of the energy plus CVEX adder. So for plugging in a solar array, instead of just plugging into the grid, you are saving, the town is saving about $31,000 a year.
Wow.
Which is good. Yeah.
Yeah. So before I arrived, there were two other projects in the queue, and they ended up getting canceled by
Okay.
your selectmen. There was Harwich Community Center North and South. I think I understand there were carports on either side of the parking lot. And then this Harwich as of right, I guess is a parcel. There was a,
Yeah, we had to have an as-of-right parcel to qualify as a green community,
What does that mean as of right?
so that all of the zoning has been already taken care of. So if somebody applied to do a renewable energy project on that piece of land, they wouldn't have to wait forever for the town to approve it. It kind of automatic approval.
So it's already
Exactly.
really
Right.
ready to go.
so we should talk about,
So we would, and
Yeah.
we may not have time today, but one of the things on our list, and one of the things I wanted to look into for this particular chunk right here, is doing some community solar there.
okay.
All right, and we can talk about that another
Yeah.
time, all right?
But that's good to know. And just so you know, that issue came up this morning, and the question is, can community solar and municipal solar merge? And I think it has to do with the meter, how the
Right,
adders are,
right.
the incentives are
I
applied.
think
But
because this was part of our green communities thing, I think that I'm kind of going with the fact that we are allowed to, see, we could even let a solar panel manufacturing company build there. So it's not municipal per se, it's just a chunk of land that is zoned for renewable energy. And a private company can go in there,
Got it.
all right? So I think that it would work with community solar. Like we had a
Well,
developer.
Yarmouth is doing it.
Yeah.
Amoresco is building
Yeah.
a community solar for Yarmouth.
Yeah.
But so the question came up today, but what if I had some towns who might want to buy some of that energy? Could we buy it? And we don't know the answer to that
Don't know,
yet.
don't know.
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
because the question then becomes, does Harwich have any additional need for net metering credits?
Right.
Or cash?
Right.
I don't recall how big this was.
Right.
If it was over a megawatt or not.
Yeah. So anyways,
Anyway,
that
good.
all have to be looked at, but it'd be something kind of good to, because we have people, like we have the, Pine Oaks, housing, and lots of housing in Harwich that is not suitable for individual people to put solar panels, you know what I'm saying? And so people who would want to participate,
Yeah.
but they rent or they live in a condominium or, something like that, and community solar would be one way that we could increase
just say-
participation.
I live in Pine Oaks,
Mhm.
okay? And apparently there was a conversation started at some point, but it was never followed.
Right.
I heard that from Maggie Downey.
Okay, so anyway, we can
So,
keep that on our radar.
You should vet these projects as much as you can. You actually could have just a solar developer go look at a parcel and say, well, based upon the trees and things like
Right.
that, people are very sensitive
Yes.
now about cutting trees. If it's anywhere near, I don't know, a historical district, that's a whole
No,
other
this
kettle
chunk
of
is right
fish.
next to the landfill.
Okay,
So-
but I'm just saying.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And- okay, so I can okay, so CVEC, actually is supposed to elicit from the towns all the particulars about a project.
Mhm.
But what's happened in the past, all of a sudden goes, oh yeah, we are supposed to go to Kings Highway and get an approval of that. So
yeah,
like the
yeah,
glare and on Route 6. And so it's like, the more that anybody can look at it, the more eyes on it, the better the project will be when it's finally built. So when I say if it's kind of worth taking the time, right now, the US solar market is stalled, completely stalled.
Really?
Polysilicon prices have gone up 300% since 2020. Shipping costs from Southeast Asia and China have gone up quadrupled in the past year. Eversource, we expect Eversource to increase their interconnection costs, what it would require to plug in, from 10 cents a kilowatt to 40 cents a
When
kilowatt.
does that happen?
This
In a
is
new construction or an ongoing thing?
Is this
No,
for
no.
private homes too?
yes.
Yeah,
Well, that
I'm
yes.
super confused.
Yes.
Because you are municipal, but then also.
Okay, this affects the industry as a
Everybody.
whole. Everybody as a whole.
Yeah.
The costs
Yeah, but
have
you're
gone up.
on
mentioning
new things, new
Eversource. Where
things.
does Eversource come in?
They were just building a new chip factory because all the chips are made in China or Taiwan or stuff like that. They're going to
can't
spend
get 'em here.
$30 billion. Maybe they ought to be building solar collectors here so that they can manufacture.
Well, there's pending legislation at the
Aren't a lot
federal
made in
level to
China?
increase the tax credit for developers, so that will give them the incentive
Yeah,
to cut into these costs. But right now, there is most contracts throughout the United States, unless they're huge, are either being canceled or postponed. All right? So, just letting you know.
Yes.
Steel, if you wanted a carport canopy, was a huge problem over a year ago in the middle of COVID. And so, as you know, the price went up, the
Right,
price went down.
So
CVIC
basically,
did-
nobody's doing any new solar then?
If the developer had locked in and is, got supplies inventoried, they're likely doing projects.
Do you think that's what happened to the company that was providing the installations for Solarize Yarmouth? Do you think that they just got squeezed in the?
No, well, labor shortages are also
So
an issue.
a developer is also an installer? It's the same thing?
No, well, sometimes there are big companies like that. There are big companies that actually do the whole thing. They build, they engineer them, they finance them, they maintain them. They
But
take
that's
do everything.
municipal.
No, it could be. There are some developers who do that, but there are other developers that are in it for the tax credits. They're in it for the money, right? So they don't want the whole. They don't want to take care of the entire life of the project. So they outsource the maintenance. They outsource the building. So depending upon and where they are, right? So we had a project built on the island. Well, this company's out of Connecticut. No crew was going to come from Connecticut up to Massachusetts. So they hired a third-party installer. to build it. That came with its own
Challenges.
Challenges. So, so for CVAC, we just issued this around 6, and this morning we had a conversation with all of our municipalities who tell me that all of the people who are buying stuff for the towns are facing this. Their vendors are coming back and saying, I'm sorry, my supplier's asking for more money. My supplier doesn't have it. So we're caught in this post-COVID, in high inflation, fuel costs drive everything, right? So, and we are waiting to see what the federal incentives will be. We know they put in a significant amount of money for battery storage, but
I think
there aren't-
solar got a little bit too, but
a little bit,
the
but we
House
don't
has
know.
to vote on it, and they're pretty sure they'll vote on it by the end of the week.
Is this the climate action?
Yeah, so you can go online and look at this bill, and it will tell you, sort of, they'll chunk it out as to, you don't have to look at the whole bill. There are places you can go for like summaries of what, but what you're saying for CVAC is that you're taking a pause right now on new projects.
We
Yeah.
are asking our developers, okay, so part of the value of the town coming to CVAC and having them bid out the projects is that I get 1 from this town, and 2 from this town, and 3 from this town. So pulled together, we look like a formidable buyer, right? And there are a lot of economies of scale involved in that, in the procurement. But to the developing world, CVAC is a player, right? Because it's gonna say, you don't have to build me 1 project, you're gonna be able to build me 16. So we have went back to our developer and we said, I don't care where you go find the solar panels to build these projects. And so I went to the municipalities though and said to them, look, so on one side it's not built yet. On the other side, there might be this huge amount of cash that could flow to the town. So you're not locked into anything yet. So a wait and see isn't so bad. So we made an agreement that we're going to just get through the summer.
Okay.
Because beyond that, the bids go stale.
Right.
Right. We want to start from scratch for a lot of reasons. But for Harwich, it doesn't impact you because your projects are running, everything is built. But what it does, hopefully it will give you this moment to consider not a 1-year plan or 1 project plan, but a 5-year plan. Because sometimes it's worth, if you could find, let me put it this way, what I understand from our developers and the costs. If you could find, for every 4 acres, you can build a megawatt project, a project that will generate a megawatt, right? So versus, like in the town of Yarmouth,
So 4 acres equal?
4 acres equals about a 1 megawatt.
1 mega.
On a 1/4 of an acre, they're gonna build this, and another 1/4 of an acre, they're gonna build that, and another 1/4 of an acre, so you can imagine the additional cost to build
Connectivity and all that.
4 separate projects, right?
Ridiculous.
But one, if you can get a swath of land without ruining your, the environment.
Which is why the landfills were so,
Of course,
they were
Right.
of course.
low-hanging fruit, they were just there.
So this
course.
this next page on 14 it's just an overview of how CVAC handles it. So if you found this a project and you want to go back in the queue, we've already done most of the work for the as of right.
Yes.
I have the engineering plans, blah, 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 that's mostly done. The developer was fired though, it was canceled.
It would have to be a different developer and all that.
Yeah. Oh, for lots of reasons, right. So we pool them all together and we gather the information, as I told you. We bundle it all together, all the data. We issue RFPs to the developers, and then we do the final selection and then do the contract negotiations for you. And all for a flat fee.
February 2020.
No, this was our round 6. This is round 6.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
again, these are the steps. If you wanted us, CVAC, to build a project for you, these are the steps that we would follow.
Okay.
Is this shortage or the problem with the solar collectors worldwide? Is it just US or is it, you know? Or?
Yeah, it's pretty, no, it's actually, it's worldwide except for Southeast Asia, which is in closer proximity, obviously for
Yeah.
lots of reasons. I just really, Reuters has a good, information on the US solar market, the National Regulatory, NREL, I don't know what is, National Regulatory Energy something. They have a good, I will send Valerie
Okay,
links.
I'll make sure I
to-
get everything out to them.
It-
Any
it's
links that you
interesting.
think of that might be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting to find out what's
That's
going
not
on
well
in the
known
market.
then, but
Oh,
I-
the solar, shortage of solar, oh yeah, that's really well known, if it, yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so, and then there were two ways of, getting to build solar panels. This polysilicon, and then another that they slice it out of a block of silicon, and it's getting, accessing minerals and whatever else. The biggest, okay, so let me go back.
Yeah.
That list I showed you in the red,
Pending.
Yeah.
pending. So these, the ones that are in the red, CVEC contracted in 2019 and 2020. Eversource had to put them on hold because it says, well, if you plug them in, you're gonna blow out the grid. You're gonna shut down all, we don't have enough infrastructure to be able to handle that energy. Now, where's the energy? So some of these actually are like behind the meter, they just feed, but generally, right? All
Goes into
the
the grid,
energy
yeah.
goes out and then comes back in, or enough. So there are 57 projects on the Cape that are in these group studies. Right now, there is, and maybe you should follow it, I'll send it to you, there is a request from Eversource for a rate increase to pay to build the infrastructure to handle these 11 or so projects, plus the other 40 some odd that are in the queue, and they're all solar. They're on the Cape. So with that, the Eversource is saying, well, if you want more renewable energy, you need the infrastructure to be able to plug it in, to use it. And it's they've done the math. The cost for some of CVEC's projects range from anywhere from about $350,000 in additional costs to $2 million out at Oak Bluffs landfill.
These are like transmission lines they're talking
Yeah,
about, substations?
Transmission lines and upgrades to substations.
But
It's
here's
exactly it.
Here's the interesting thing. So if you think of the whole grid, and if you're adding a new solar project, wouldn't you also be retiring something else? And so the amount of electricity flowing through the wires shouldn't really change that much, right? Or is it just like because of eastern Massachusetts has an old grid
I understand it as
Yeah.
old and we are deficient. Our energy needs are accelerating greater than the ability for us
They
to.
are pushing for all electric stuff.
Right, and that's been a problem from the
And
get-go.
Before
Yeah.
the grid is arranged around power stations, they want to shut down the power station, they want to have solar collectors they have to have a different set of infrastructure to drive the power to where it's going to go.
Anyway, Eversource.
So that is actually, this is
Yeah.
this cycle, right? I want to plug it in, but where are you going to plug it into? Where are you going to get the energy sufficient enough to
Particularly if everybody had an electric car, like we all plug our cars in at the
And-
same time at 6 o'clock at night, what
There-
happens? You know?
And what is the domestic solution for all of this is, well, we need the chips, and we need the minerals in
Yep,
order to be
yep,
able to
yep.
do this. We can't get it here. So I know they're trying to figure out a domestic solution, beefing up our manufacturing. And so some of our projects, for example, when we were building the Harwich Middle School, and it's a carport canopy, we were asked, do you want to put in the conduits for for charging stations? Well, believe it or not, the engineering plans that were drawn up 2 or 3 years ago didn't provide for the conduit for now, energy, charging stations.
Right.
So, and we asked what would be the increase in price. Well, we couldn't increase the price and we couldn't add it because we're bound by municipal law, right? Unless we bid it, we can't build it.
Right.
It's not an add-on. But it's the the improvements or the evolution of this renewable energy market that is still has to go, gets back to dollars and cents. Dollars and cents and availability of what you want.
Right.
So, I don't know, I mean, they're saying 2035, but quite honestly,
Yeah.
I see CVEX projects being bid in 2018, contracted in 2019, and they still haven't been built as an issue. That's my personal observation.
Are
And
there legal ramifications? When you talk about something that was started and then stalled?
well, for us and for the town, you have to be mindful of the procurement laws in Massachusetts. So we operate under our own procurement rules for energy, but we follow the guidance of the 30B, the Massachusetts procurement laws. So there is a point where, you know, there's cost differentials. We have an obligation to modify if there's been a change in the law, for example. But we still have to, we still report to the taxpayers at the end of the day. So when a project gets so out of control, you say, I'm sorry, this isn't the same thing, and we start all over
Cancel
again.
it, yeah.
Which gets me back to where we are currently with CVEX projects. We're gonna evaluate, or can we hold on to what we've just done? If we can't, that's fine. We're just gonna issue a new request for proposal, and maybe we will enhance it, right? We might enhance it with federal funds. We might enhance it by saying, you know, if the developers are gonna get incentives, can we take advantage of that? We also are developing strategic partners that we're talking to another nonprofit today about them donating us money to add batteries to all these projects. And so even if they gave us the batteries, none of the developers bid on our round 6 projects with batteries because there was none available in that smaller market. Right? So that's when I say to you, if the 5-year projection, if you say, well, we do need, that, you know, 4 megawatts, let's say. You asked about the energy usage in the beginning. That isn't it, obviously, that drives everything. Then you also have to be mindful of your cap. You can only have so much renewable energy in a town, I understand.
Yes, because you're not allowed to overshoot the municipal cannot overshoot what they need, because then they are,
The private sector.
right, then they're making electricity. I mean, they've become something else, you
Yes.
know, and the
And-
laws here don't support that.
So likewise for CVEC, I need to go back and do the math and see if we can buy any of these projects. In Brewster, they have actually just decided, well, you know what, we'd rather have the money. And they're leasing the land to a developer, and the developer's selling the energy someplace else.
But the bottom line, even in that scenario, that energy, that electricity was made on a solar farm, and even if the people in Brewster are not actually using the electrons, it is still taking carbon out, you know, so it's still a
Right.
positive thing.
Right.
It's,
Oh,
you
no,
know,
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I want to say, Maria, that you have been very helpful and you brought lots of material, but I'm super confused and I have a world to learn. So, I wanted to ask you, I had some questions and I
Okay.
realized my
Go ahead,
questions
I'm good till 4.
Absolutely out of place.
And if I don't know them, I'm gonna just
No,
send them back.
they're out of
get back
place,
to you.
but I'm going to say it anyway. How can we work together?
Oh, well, the last page
Yep, and I.
was that we need a representative from the town to be on our board of directors, and this bridge is just 2 meetings.
Yep.
2 meetings a year, and
Oh, that's
then,
pretty easy.
yeah, well, I'm trying to make it easy.
So,
And then, but then throughout the year, my thought was,
subcommittee type thing?
no, well, I want to have the developers come in and
Oh,
talk to
good,
us.
good, yeah.
I mean, we're giving them projects worth millions of dollars. They
Right,
should come in and
right.
explain what they're
And you
doing.
might want to think about, because I know Liz helped the energy committees aggregate, you know, get together,
Mm-hmm.
and it might be a benefit sometime to have the developers speak, not just to the 4 of us, but all the energy committees.
Well,
you
these
know,
are,
you know, and-
so
Absolutely.
these will be public meetings.
Yeah.
They're all public meetings, but what we should do is, I could make a better effort of letting you know when they
Okay,
happen.
that'd be
So
great.
how do we fill
So
that
my
position?
husband said he's interested in doing it.
Ah.
He's got a contracting background, not necessarily in renewable energy, but he's mechanically minded, he
Yeah.
owned his own company,
Yeah, yeah.
so he understands stuff like that.
For the procurement process.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, he's just gonna be on the board.
No, he had to be on our board to
He's-
represent
he's
the town.
Harwich rep.
Yeah, to be the
And
Harwich.
and how is he going to feed that into us? Because we
Well, we
cannot
have
be.
a,
He'll
we have a
report back.
connection.
He'll
Yeah.
report back.
Yeah, but not through you. I want directly.
Yeah, well, he's.
You're too busy.
As
I
I
need-
am, he would be, I report directly to the
To your husband.
selectmen.
But we're left
No,
out.
the selectmen,
No,
you know,
no, no,
my,
no.
No,
The
no, 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 no,
committee-
no, no.
The committee, everybody here was appointed by the BOS.
right, and this is another BOS position.
It's a separate,
Okay.
And so
it's a
he's,
separate group.
his first obligation is
So
the
the-
selectmen.
how can we
Well,
work
terrific,
together?
terrific that we have him, but I'm interested in not being left out in the process. I want to be informed and participate in behind the scenes, but still participate.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a rep on CVEC for a little while now, so
Yeah.
that's why there hasn't been a lot of information, because we haven't had one.
Okay.
That's
So,
right.
unless you can come up with.
And what is his name?
Herbert Bell. And unless you can come up with somebody else, which we've been talking about this for months now, so.
No, it's okay with
Yeah.
me, no
Okay.
problem.
Well, I'm the new kid on the block, so I just found out a couple of weeks ago in
Right.
some
So
conversation.
Yeah,
We'll
so,
take care of
and,
it.
and it's really
Yeah.
not heavy lifting, it's just to
somebody there to
collaborate
represent.
with, your, other town representatives, find out what
Yeah.
CVEC is doing. Take back, hopefully I'm gonna beef up our operations and have best practices. I'll share with you,
Okay.
so you can
Yeah,
pass on
with
to your
us
husband.
also, please.
Yes, the protocol
I'll
will be.
talk to your assistant, Tatiana, and give her all our emails.
Well,
It's probably better if they just work through one
they'll
person.
go
Yeah,
I
but
think
then
it's-
you don't send us
I
things.
send you everything. I send you everything.
So it's kind of hard for, I'm happy to send you what I can. Let's just make it easy.
I just want to say, this is a very good move, okay? And all I will tell you is, if there is a way that you can impress upon the Board of Selectmen that it doesn't have to take 3 months.
Yeah, well, we'll try to get that.
I know,
Yeah,
because
that's-
I know
Oh,
what my
well,
experience
yeah.
was,
Okay,
okay?
so
Yeah.
our next our meeting is in September, on or about September
It'd be
15th.
nice to have it in place.
We'll try to work. We'll try
And
to
if
expedite
not,
it.
I'm happy to come back, all
Yep,
right? I'm happy to come back and I will share, we really don't have anything going on other than, we're really a bookkeeping company. I mean, we're an asset
Yeah,
management company.
but it offers us the possibility of asking questions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's very
So
beneficial.
what other ones you?
Well, the other question I had, can you support us, guide us, help us?
That's not their role.
Okay, fine.
What I can do is that if you find a project, if
Okay.
you identify a project, I can then step in and guide you on the
Okay.
steps and the questions that you would
Okay.
have to ask.
Very well.
I will send you our template of what, if you want to build a project, what do you need to know? I'll send that.
That
would
might be something
phenomenal.
And you
for
can-
us to think about, that community solar, that as of right parcel, if we could get
Right.
that developed,
Mhm.
Right.
that would be a good thing.
Yeah, okay, well,
And
that would
I
be
can,
helpful.
and then I can also put you in touch with one of our developers who can talk to you more
Okay.
about it. Just,
Okay.
just,
Just to teach us
yeah.
what
So,
is
okay.
Right.
the roadmap.
But it's good to, because I was kind of wondering,
Yeah.
why everything kind of slowed down and nothing was, it didn't seem like anything was happening. And the idea that, nothing's happening anywhere because of the supply chain issues and
And
inflation and
COVID.
COVID.
I mean, it was really,
It's just, everything has come, it's gonna take a while
But we're
before.
coming out of
Oh, yeah.
all those issues,
Yeah.
and we have to get ready.
send a template for projects. So anyway, this was meant to be an introduction.
Yes.
I gave you a big broad brush. Your projects, obviously, you were ahead of the game. The town was thinking your landfill project is,
Right, it was a while ago.
not only benefits the town, but benefits so many other municipalities
Yeah.
and the Cape as a whole, obviously. So I think I touched upon the fact that we will know more. We don't know enough. Oh, I'll send you the rate case.
Yes,
You can,
yeah.
somebody can print all this out
Yep.
for you, right? And
Yeah, Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We all have emails, we all have stuff at
So
home.
the process is that, you know, whenever these improvements, DPU has got to sign off on it, then the Attorney General's office acts on behalf of the ratepayer. Will they like it or not? The scuttlebutt is, the political chatter is that this is likely to happen. All of this will be approved because that will help us get to our renewable energy goals by 2035. Without this, obviously, things
Are you talking about this new bill that
The
is
new
sitting
bill
on
to-
Baker's desk?
No, I'm
Oh.
talking on top of
Does
it.
it have a name?
So there's money, okay,
Yeah.
so, I mean, we talk about the use of the money. All the ratepayers are gonna be assessed, rates are gonna go up over 30, to about 30 cents.
What
a
do you call
kilowatt, is my-
ratepayers?
Is my, you pay your electric bill.
Well, she doesn't, because she has
Oh.
to.
Well, when you don't,
Yeah.
when you have a battery too?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. So when you don't have solar, the rate for energy off of the grid is expected to go up significantly next year. And that is to pay for those 57 solar projects in the queue to be built.
By whom?
By CVEC is going to build some,
Mhm.
and Eversource has asked for enough money to keep the door open for another 200 or so thousand kilowatt hours of additional projects on the Cape. So they're building this to accommodate the existing projects to be built, plus another tranche of new projects to be built.
Now, let me tell you
So
something.
that has to be approved, they can't just arbitrarily say, this is what the
Yeah.
rate's gonna be, that
Goes through the state.
goes through the
Yeah, but I cannot
regulatory.
understand the following. Last April, I went into that option that you're giving as a consumer to compare prices and choose another provider for you. And I did that. And I'm paying 8 cents when the current price is 17 cents. How come? I mean, we're not being treated well.
Well, you got a chance to switch, and you switched.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
the
did.
That's good
point.
treatment.
Consumers get
Yeah.
a chance to choose what they want.
Right.
So you
And-
chose that.
Right on the Cape,
Yeah.
right? You have your choice of Eversource, the Cape Light
I'm paying
Compact,
17 as
or
opposed to 8.
another operator someplace else, just like for us with our municipalities. They can buy their energy from Eversource, they could buy their energy from us, who in turn buys it from
How much do you
somebody
charge?
else. Well, for it depends. The developer's gonna charge a energy cost per kilowatt hour, and then we charge a fee for doing the paperwork.
So the total
And that
comes to
fee-
what?
Well, on your project, for the golf course, it's 7.4 cents total.
You're talking about municipal.
I don't know anything
Right.
about residential.
Yeah.
And you can,
I'm
it's
sorry,
like
I don't-
compact that, you know,
yeah.
you would, if you go on their website, they will have the rates listed and,
It's 17.
yeah.
Yeah,
and-
all I know is my house is 350 years old, and I'm not putting solar on that roof, so
It's
that's
possible
just
that
the way it is.
He's talking about the difference between having solar and wind generation versus having fossil fuel.
Right,
And
so,
maybe the fossil fuel is cheaper.
right,
And
so,
so maybe what you've done is you rejected the solar and the wind,
Right.
things, and you've gone with a supplier that's gonna supply you with
Right,
fossil fuel.
but everything is subsidized, all renewable energy is
Yeah.
subsidized by us. So the question is, how much are we willing to pay out in additional taxes for that tax money to come back and be funneled out to all the developers?
and you gotta
I
take.
don't know
Right,
when
and
that
that's a
begins
personal-
and
yeah.
ends.
And also, because if you just talk about price, that leaves out the whole benefit of the climate change issue. And so, when you're buying electricity, if it's just price that you care about, then sure, check out all the different providers, pick your cheapest
No, but
one.
my provider is green.
So
Right,
for the
you know,
town
so
of
for eight,
Harwich,
yeah.
all right, and now, you operate in the framework of procurement laws in Massachusetts, which requires us to choose the lowest bidder unless there are other
Right.
parameters that you wish to achieve. So in that, if the town, through your energy committee, says that, yeah, okay, we will have parity, right? It costs us 17 cents, because you probably have a government rate, right? I'm talking about the government rate. 17 cents to plug in without solar, or 17 cents to plug in with solar. Your town might say, well, we prefer that. The question is, and no
Right.
municipality is, how much more,
Right.
right?
Right.
How much more, especially when there are underlying forces saying, well, the federal government wants more to pay for its project, and the state wants more to pay for its projects. And Eversource is gonna come back and say, we're gonna need more in order for you to have the infrastructure. So
And
I
that's
don't-
why the prices are going to go up.
You know what, I'm just putting,
Right.
I'm not here to opine about what will happen, or what will happen, or
No,
whether
but
it's good
that-
or bad,
Yeah.
but those are.
But you told us that they're going to
That's the
go
market.
back up. So
Yes,
here
the-
we are.
The conversation that I have had with Eversource and DPU people is that after this rate increase is approved, it's likely to be approved, that all the ratepayers will be subsidizing renewable energy projects on the Cape.
And that's,
And
and
we'll,
that
and we'll
is,
see,
yeah.
and we'll see how
Yeah.
the Cape Light Compact responds to that too.
Right.
Maybe maybe they will be a great alternative source. Or the community solar that you mentioned,
Right.
right?
Right. So,
And
or a
then-
little bit of everything, you
Or-
know, I mean.
Exactly.
So that's the point, you know, is to, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I think the thing with renewable energy, we have to think about distributed energy. You know, we've lived our whole lives with giant power producing companies feeding out, you know, to everybody. And now every community now can sort of pick and choose a combination of how they're going to meet their energy needs.
Right.
you
And
know, so-
I'm hoping that CVEC, because I do believe in economies of scale, and I don't believe that everybody should pay more for something, that if I can, if I can identify, right, that 4 acres for a megawatt, or 10 acres for a megawatt, and I come to Harwich, I go, do you need any more? Do you need any more? You know, like all the towns? Then wouldn't that be better for the environment as a whole? Right?
Absolutely.
It's just one area and I'm thinking of quarries and things like that, that are not
What-
being
Sand pits
used.
or-
and
What
sand pits
about
and
more
things like that.
landfills, capped land?
I think that they're all
They're all
really
done now.
done.
Done.
We've got one in
Dennis.
Yarmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis.
Wellesley.
We have another landfill, but they expanded the golf course on it. So
That's Yarmouth, yeah.
well,
thank
I
you so much.
apologize for
Thank you so much. We don't want to hold you
And it's a pleasure
longer.
to meet you, and
Yeah,
I look
good
forward
to
to
meet
meeting
you.
your
Yeah,
husband.
yeah.
And I'm glad. There was another woman that called us earlier. I don't know if Jacqueline. Oh, that's you. As you. Okay, you talked to Tatsiana. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that you got the info.
Cover me.
Yeah, good. All right, pleasure.
Thank you so much.
If most everything that I discussed is in that presentation, so that doesn't give again, and I'll send you some more information.
Thanks.
It was wonderful meeting you all. Have a nice
Yeah,
day.
bye-bye.
Thank you, bye-bye.
All right, so let's get to the minutes.
So, if you don't mind, Valerie, she is only municipal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So if we look at our minutes that Charlie has so aptly put together for us again.
Charlie did a great job, but I kept bugging him about not putting adjournment time.
I don't know what the time was.
Pick it up. Or we'll try to say it loud when we leave, so.
You tell me what you want me to put down there.
Right. So last time, who cares? We'll let you know today though, before we leave.
Okay, so it's okay for the
Yes.
minutes not to
Yeah,
have it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then I'm fine with that.
They're just grateful. Is there anybody who sees anything else in here that they want changed or updated before we submit them?
No.
So we're all in favor of
I-
accepting them?
Yes,
Yes.
but let me ask you something. We're going to talk about,
I'm talking about approved minutes from 7/21.
Yes.
no, I'm okay
You're
with
good.
everything.
Okay. Right, so you can send those to the website, to that email, just keep sending them in.
So the minutes are approved.
Minutes are
Yeah,
approved.
minutes at town meeting dot whatever.
Okay, so we approve, Okay, the electrical charging stations, I'm sorry that, what's her face? Who's our, liaison from the?
Oh, Julie.
Julie. Okay, so I sent you a link to
Right.
that. Then if you drill down in there, there's a little summary table in that link I showed you. There's several layers in that link, but
Right.
this is just sort of a little table that sort of summarizes the.
I have a question. Is there a, this might be a silly question, but I still have a question. Is there someone in the town of Harwich, in our municipality, that is in charge of grants in general, or it is each office?
I think each office does their own.
Yeah.
Their own
Mhm. They all
request.
ultimately end up with the Board of Selectmen, but everybody.
And who is in charge of energy issues? in
Nobody.
town? Nobody.
We talked about this last time. Remember that some towns, which town? Falmouth I think they got permission. I think they voted to create a town position
Finally.
just for energy issues.
Right, and
But
Sharon
Valerie,
has one.
who is setting up the project plan to meet these green community commitments of 20% energy reduction?
And Sean, he said he's out of town this week, so he wants to keep
So
sending
Sean
him.
would be our guy.
He's
Is he
the
the guy?
closest. He's the closest that we
Well,
have.
I
It's not his actual job, though. I mean, you gotta understand that he's in charge of facilities,
Maybe
right?
Yeah.
we need to ask the Board of Selectmen, who was the person that's in charge of meeting these commitments? Somebody's gotta own it, and they've
Yeah.
gotta come up with a plan
We
on how
need-
you're gonna get there. If they
Yeah.
don't do that, we're not gonna have a plan, we're not gonna meet anything.
Yeah, but
We
if
don't have that, we don't seem to have that person the way some other towns do.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think it's wonderful that Sean Libby, who is the
Yes.
facilities manager, is willing to go to that.
and very willing.
Yeah, and really provided a lot of information. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah, eventually. He'll be here eventually. I mean, we just have to.
So you're going to re-invite him
Yeah,
for our
I
next
just- I-
meeting?
I keep him on the, when you send out the agendas and things, just keep his
Maybe we
email
ought
on
to
there.
arrange a meeting about when he's available.
Well, we can't, we have to keep meeting. I mean, we can't just make our meeting around him, and he'll eventually get here.
But-
The bottom line is that,
but we keep using up months, and nobody's got a plan to go forward. We're not gonna meet the goals. That's basically the bottom line. Nobody's working on the goals, nobody's presenting them.
We don't know that.
right, I mean,
Yeah, we do know. No, he's
well,
right.
he said Sean said in his email that he was not sure that we would make those goals. But I think what Charlie's saying is that what about the goals is difficult to meet, because there's 6 different criteria to be a green community. So which of those criteria are we having a hard time meeting?
I would think that I looked at some of that stuff that we got as emails, and there was only one project listed on there, the fire station, and they didn't have, they want to have how many furnaces or how many boilers are
Well,
replacing.
Sean knows that stuff. He's in charge of all that
But
stuff.
can he show us and how he's planning this stuff for the next 2 or 3 years to get to this goal?
I'll email Sean, and once we pick our date, our tentative date for the next meeting, I'll send it to Sean, and I just say,
Re-invite
can
him.
you check this date and see if this is gonna work for you, so that otherwise, or if not, what date would work for
But
you?
we don't just want
Right,
to come to a meeting,
right,
we want
right.
to come to a meeting with a plan on how we're gonna get to
Well,
where
yeah.
to go.
That might be the second meeting, because the first
Well,
meeting,
see, we don't want to drag this out, we want to get the plan done. He's got a whole month now.
he doesn't work for us. He works for the town, and any amount of time that he takes away from his job to make paperwork for us, we've got to work with these people.
It's not for us, it's for the town. The town made these commitments to do this stuff.
Yeah, okay, but didn't he also say, and I'd have to go back to his email, that it's not a priority to have
Never
somebody.
been. It's never been a priority
and
for
that-
this town. That's
But,
the bottom
but
line.
that doesn't mean that it cannot become a priority.
Well, yeah.
Because we have global warming, so
But the
energy
squeaky wheel
is,
gets the grease,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah.
squeak more.
yeah.
So here's the deal. Let's hope that we can find a date next month that we
That
can, we can
yes.
all be here. He can be
Okay.
here, we can all do it. Let's work on that first.
Okay.
We'll pick our
I'm
date.
willing
And then-
to make that date a priority,
Yeah.
even if it
Right, we
means
have to
focusing
wiggle it
something
around
else.
a little
Yeah.
bit. We'll pick one for us, but we'll wiggle it if we have to.
Tell them
But
we'll meet at 7 o'clock in the mornings. You got time then?
so here's the other thing that we to sort of think about.
Mhm.
Because Sean is only going to be able to tell us what exists, you know, and what we have done up to this point. I'm not
I don't
sure,
want to see that. I want to see a plan
Right.
going forward.
We
right,
have to start somewhere though.
but I'm not sure, remember, Sean doesn't work for us. We cannot, you know, we do not tell Sean what to do, you know, we get information from Sean. It is our responsibility to, once we get our information of what is happening, it's our responsibility to create a little report and go to the Board of Selectmen. That's our responsibility,
Right.
not to badger Sean, you know,
Right.
he's gonna give us information, then we're gonna use that information
Right.
to create a
do
report,
plan.
and then we're gonna get on the Board of Selectmen meeting,
Right.
and we're gonna present that to the
Right.
selectmen.
So who decides that a boiler needs to be repaired and where the money will come from? Isn't it
It's be Sean, yeah,
Sean? So he has some power in his hands.
yes.
He
And
can take
right.
initiative.
And he has been using the Green Communities funds
Mhm.
to do that.
Okay.
Right, because becoming a green community opens up funding that would not be available to you if you were not a green community.
Absolutely.
And he has been working with that. Now, there's Margaret Song at Cape Light Compact has been helping him.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If,
He mentions her.
yeah, she's the one that literally did all the paperwork for green community. It's not, nobody in town did
Mhm.
nobody in town really did much, you know, as far as the physical filling out of forms and doing all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
That was done by Cape Light Compact. And they did that for any town that wanted to do
Yeah,
it.
that's wonderful.
Right,
yes.
and we wouldn't have done it without them, you know, because there isn't, like you said, there's nobody in town whose job this is, you know, it's.
So do we have that? Do we know?
So I can ask Margaret too, if she has any, like what you are talking about, any like
We're looking at
statistics.
20% reduction in energy. How close are we to
Right.
that 20%? Are we 10% now? Or
In, while
are we
we're,
5% or are we 1%?
and how off are we gonna be? You know,
No, I mean,
yeah,
Yeah, that's a super question.
yeah.
Super
Okay,
valuable
let
question.
me shoot Margaret an email, and she may have some statistics that she could share with us, because since she's like the bookkeeper of the,
it would be interesting to see if we started out and we ramped up real fast and now we're flat because nobody's doing any new projects. I'd like to see that kind of thing as a plot versus the day we signed up for Green Community up to today's date. And are the projects flattened out so there's no more new projects?
Put
Or
that
what?
in our minutes, please.
I would just say that it strikes me as kind of odd, but it's not odd, considering where we are, that we got approval to be a green community,
Mhm.
but there was nobody responsible officially.
well, I think they just sort of said, oh, Sean, you can take care of this,
Yeah, well,
without really, not giving him
I think-
any more time or money.
and I think it's unfortunate, and we're paying the price now.
Yeah, but it
So-
has to do with the fact that the town is short-handed
Yep.
and the
So-
fact that global warming is,
Yeah, but
I'm going to be ridiculous, new.
yeah, and I think, I have to say, it's official, and I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna own it, that there are blinders. There are blinders
Yeah.
around a lot of these issues.
Because of the money.
Well, I don't know what it is, I don't know.
It's
if
money.
Well, it's money, but I think there's something else, and I don't know what it is, okay? And we talked about that the other day, but I feel very frustrated because we got this gift. We got this gift called Green Community, and we threw it away, we trashed it.
Yeah. And I'm not,
I'm sorry,
I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
mean to be
say,
that dramatic,
because
but
we're not,
I
yeah,
just.
we're about halfway into it, you know, because it's a 5-year plan. And so
That's correct.
I don't, let's not assume that that it's not salvageable, all right? I'll ask Margaret for this, let's get a look at where are we? You know,
Yeah,
how
that
close
would
are
be
we? Are we
terrific.
gonna miss it by a huge amount? Or are we gonna miss
We
it
need
by
to
a
know,
little
yeah.
amount and a little bit of work could
Yeah.
get us over the hump, you know? Well, let's not panic before we have our,
No, I thank you, I
yeah.
really appreciate that, because, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we, you know.
and as Jacqueline always reminds us, you know, we need to ask the questions, we need to gather the information, because I think that's our strength, not in like us doing a project or something like that. I'm not saying we couldn't, but I'm just saying our strength is going to be the gathering information, because I think we're the only 4 people in town who understand what's going on here, you know, and even we have a lot of questions.
Well, there are other people who are part of our Climate Action Network, okay?
Mhm.
And they're not particularly interested
Right.
in being on a town committee, but we get a lot of information.
Mhm.
Why don't you get them on the committee?
I need to keep our relationship positive.
Well, anyway, let's move on so we can sort of finish this up.
Yeah.
So I gave you the link for the car charging. The thing that I found kind of interesting when they talked about the round is that on the 100% reimbursement, I could not find a new date. This is for the last round, so I don't know if they've actually published the date for the next round. I couldn't find it on the website. The last round,
What are you talking about?
for the electric car charging, if like there's for grants for the electric cars.
Yeah.
Grants.
Yeah,
So how much is the money?
it was 100%, so here, you can take this for your perusal. That's on the website. It's the other, the 60% reimbursement is a there's no date. It's a rolling grant, so you can
But
apply
how much
any.
of this has already been, don't the communities have to pull some of this stuff out, and then the rest of it is not available, right?
Well, there's X number of dollars that was put into the program. I don't know, and it's, you know, they use up the money per year, so
I mean, it may be that there's nothing left in here, is it possible?
I don't know. You know, but I will continue looking for, that's just a summary of what the programs
But
are.
it sounds like it's something that gets renewed every
Exactly, I
year.
think they have X number of dollars per year.
Right,
It's
and we
first,
missed that.
yeah, and it's a first come,
And we
first
missed that.
serve basis, and so if you're not one of the first communities to
Now,
apply,
who
You
in
don't
the
get it.
town- Who in the town would apply for this?
That was my question before.
yeah, it would have to be,
Sean.
well, whoever's in charge of, it would have to be Sean, probably at the direction of the
Joe?
town, Joe, you know, Joe Powers, the administrator.
And we could tell Joe to ask Sean.
Right.
Well, we can tell Sean to ask
But
John.
here's the thing, if it
So sad.
requires filling out of paperwork, then it's unrealistic to think that Sean is going to have time in his day.
Well, could we assist him?
Yeah, well, they do have administrative assistants. Powers could do it himself, you know, he could get the information from Sean and do it. Julie seemed to think that, and Powers seemed to think that this was something they wanted to do. So I'm just gonna keep reminding them, you know, that they said they wanted to do this and to have them do it. And if Baker signs this new bill, there's gonna be all kinds of more money available. If he doesn't,
So we have to take advantage of
yeah.
So the
At the
money's
beginning.
available on a yearly basis, that's
Yeah.
what you say, right?
yearly, yeah.
Now, did anybody follow up with the Channel
I
18?
did. Here's the story.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, I was directed by Dinah Lane
Mm-hmm.
to be in touch with Jamie, because Jamie has to say so about what's,
Yes.
and there was a communication glitch. I didn't hear from her. I sent her an email.
I thought you wouldn't approach her right after that meeting for the open meetings thing.
I had already sent her an email. I was just introducing myself so she'd have a face to go with the name. Basically, long story short, her fiance has COVID. And that's why when we
Right.
saw her downstairs, she had a mask on. And she now has the links to the videos, the 3 Dick Elkin videos, and she is gonna look at them. And I asked her to please see if they could be shown. Could they be, do they need to be edited? There's some stuff that could be edited out.
But you would need permission from Dick Elkin.
We have it.
Okay, good.
And why edit? Why not as is?
If it's too
No,
long.
some of them, well, yeah, the one from Cape Light Compact is long.
You're
There's
right
one-
there. You're right.
There's one that also has a lot of input from the Untitled committee. That doesn't need to be on there.
You're right,
Okay,
yeah.
basically, we want to have the information in the videos
Pure and simple,
available.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'm
Yeah.
waiting to hear back from Jamie.
Okay.
Okay, that's the story.
Well, at least we're moving forward, inch
Oh,
by
yeah.
inch, you know.
At least she didn't say no.
Right, now,
But she didn't say, she said,
Oh, she didn't say yes?
I
she said she'd look.
Okay, I talked to Self-Reliance about community solar. I sent you the link for just the generic, what is community solar? They had a good little video on that link, and just to let you understand what that is.
Yeah, I got
haven't
it.
heard back from Lindsay, said she'd send me more information. Lindsay also works at Self-Reliance.
Lindsay,
Close, C-L-O-S-E. She and Megan work together they're the 2
Okay.
employees.
How do you spell her last name?
C-L-O-S-E.
C-L-O-S.
Close.
Oh, how strange. Close.
well, there's blank close there.
What are we talking about now?
Community solar, number 8.
8. Right, and so, except for the generic information which I sent to you, just explaining what it is, I don't
Right.
have anything specific. And Lindsay because Lindsay was going to take a look at what the community solar that they're administering right now, and see, if anything is,
Would you mind giving us in a nutshell what it is? Because I read this with community solar electricity, a solar electricity system is installed on a suitable roof or parcel of land. Let's think of the landfill, okay?
Yeah.
That would be an
Yep.
example. And then participants who live elsewhere sign up to get benefits from the system.
it's kind of like you giving your electricity to your granddaughter.
Okay.
So
Either by receiving net metering credit, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Participants save money on electric. So what are we thinking about?
So what I was thinking is, the way, just in general, if we develop that parcel that we have already, because of our green communities, we have already
Which
designated.
parcel?
The as of
Community
right,
center?
the as of right siting parcel. Remember we
It's a
talked about
piece of
this?
land near the landfill.
That we've
Oh,
already
okay.
designated, because
Oh, okay.
one of the 6 criteria for
Yeah.
being a green community
Yeah.
is you have to set aside a parcel of land that can only be used for renewable energy.
And what is the name of that parcel of land right
So
next
right.
to?
As of right siting, she mentioned it in here.
It's toward the end of,
Oh, she knows already?
Yeah, oh yeah.
She said.
We actually were on the verge of doing something with it
it's on page 12.
when things sort of fell apart.
It's the
And
bottom
when
one,
was that?
on page 12. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This in
Why did it
yellow
fall
here?
apart?
This in yellow?
No.
No,
No, it's this page right here. See, it says
page
not built.
12. Page
Not
12.
built, not built.
No, or right here.
I'm on page 11, what a not.
There you
Okay.
go.
Look in the blue box at the bottom where it says
Harwich
Harwich as of
right.
right, and it's 209 Queen Anne Road.
Okay.
Why was it not built?
Because everything fell apart. She said to us.
Because the collectors are all
Right, everything,
expensive.
things were hard to get, the
Okay.
prices started to fluctuate, things just didn't happen. But that's okay, it's still there, the land is still there. Maybe we'll do a field trip someday and we'll go drive down there and.
And how
look at it.
big is this?
I forget, to be honest with you, I really don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd have to look that up. It's part of our community solar package. It probably has it on here, but.
Pending project, this is
Yeah,
our
I'm trying
pending
to-
project.
It's so
Solar
tiny.
array, I know, mobile,
So
On ground mount.
Anyway, it's something we could find out. But the point being is that we like, that's why, because I thought that we had moved towards developing that, and we were talking community solar, but then everything fell apart and it did not get developed. But the point being, if, let's suppose hypothetically, we did find a developer
Mhm.
who is interested in doing,
And let me ask you, that developer, now, developer is what?
it's a big company that develops,
That builds, designs, and charge.
yeah, right. So
The builder.
They make these, they build these solar farms.
A builder.
Yeah.
And
But they don't
she
necessarily
mentioned
have to build it
Nestera, right?
Well,
That is-
NextEra is the company that Cape Light Compact gets the electricity from that we sell to,
So they are not a developer.
no.
Mhm.
Well, I think they do some development.
And they are usually off Cape or?
They are not a Cape-based company, but they provide electricity for the Cape.
No, but the
We don't have any
develop,
Cape-based developer.
typically a developer of a project of this nature would be off Cape.
Yeah, because they have to be pretty big in order to, see, here's the deal, because the towns here are so small
Mhm.
that we don't have the capital. Like, if we had the capital,
Mhm.
we would make even more money if we built it ourselves. You know, because then we keep everything, we
But-
keep net metering, but we don't have the multi-million dollars that it takes to build these things.
Well, let me
know,
tell you,
so-
I went to Andrew Wade from Generation Energy,
Mhm.
and he told me, the minute he steps into a bidding room with Svivek, he is bumped out. How do you explain that?
Because he's probably not big enough, and he's probably can't bid low enough to get the contract, because CVEC has to, they have to work by Massachusetts state bidding laws, right? So they have to, so they have to take low bid, that's,
So probably
but he can't do
he
low
can
bid.
go low enough.
Right, because he's too small,
And- But why would he use the term "I'm bumped out"?
because he's bumped out, because he comes
his
in with his bid is too
perception.
high. Because he doesn't have remember she was talking about the economy of scale. When
Yes.
you are a large developer,
Yeah.
you have a lot of cash available to invest in these things, so.
Yeah, and you can go a little
You
lower.
can, exactly,
But bumped
exactly.
out is just basically his
Outbid.
expression. It doesn't mean that they're like,
Right, they're not discriminating against
Right.
him personally.
Right.
It's just that his company is small,
Mm.
so he's unable to compete with the other companies that are putting in their bids. So, but anyway, so we don't really care who the developers are, because they're like hedge funds. I mean, they're big companies, they're in it for
Well,
the money, they're.
I was thinking
Yeah.
naively maybe that I would like an in-Cape person, someone from the Cape, not a big company from afar.
Well, let me tell you what happened to Yarmouth. When they had that solarized Yarmouth,
Mhm.
they were given a list of suitable contractors,
Mhm.
and they tried to pick somebody local.
Mhm.
They went bankrupt and left everybody without their money.
Ah, okay.
So the problem, yes, I agree with you. It'd be great if we could keep the money
Mm.
here, like we didn't have to send our money out
Mm.
elsewhere. But there is, because this is a new industry,
Mm.
there's a lot of risk involved, because things, your panels get embargoed and they don't arrive on time. Do you have the money to continue paying your help while you wait, for your shipment to come in? Because, so there's a lot of things that go into it.
Mm.
It's kind of like why you don't have a Cape Cod company building the new addition at Cape Cod Hospital.
Mm.
We have a lot of builders in the Cape, they're never going to get that contract
Mm.
because it's too big.
Okay.
So anyway, this is something we can think about. If we could work with CVEC, if we could develop, once we learn more about community solar, and maybe I can get Lindsay to come in and talk to us, because she's been administering the community solar for Self-Reliance for a couple of years now, so she's a pretty good administrator.
And her last name's Close?
Yeah. And and maybe at some other meeting, she can come in and talk to us about how she administers, how she finds the contractors, how she finds the projects, how she signs people up, that type of thing. And so that
And
would
she's
be-
from Cape Light Compact?
Nope, she's from Self-Reliance.
Is that a company?
No, it's a nonprofit.
Would community solar also be appropriate for the community center project or not?
No, because it's municipal. See, this doesn't have to be municipal. This can be residential. Because this little piece of property here, because it was designed to be leased out to a private company. Like I said, we don't have to put a solar farm there. If anybody approached us and wanted to build a factory there that made solar panels, that would also qualify. That's probably not going to happen because manufacturing the Cape is too expensive. But the point being is it can go to a private developer.
Right.
It doesn't, because it's on municipal land, but it can go to a private developer.
So that the community center project is,
Well, like she said, these are projects that are on hold right now. And they're gonna take a break through the summer. And at the end of the summer, they're gonna reevaluate things like cost, like the cost of steel, the cost of solar panels, all of that, and see if these continue to make sense. If they have to, she indicated that if the prices are still crazy and they could just cancel them all and put another RFP out, and then
Start fresh.
people would just reapply.
Yeah.
And then that would also give towns a chance to reevaluate their needs. And maybe something on this list is now not the top priority for a town. Maybe they'd rather have something else, and this would give them the opportunity to reapply for something else.
okay.
So there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of legislation that is out there swirling around. Sea levels rising faster than ever. We've all just lived through a record heat wave, and I think that when you get into the whole energy discussion, particularly like if it's with the Board of Selectmen or with some of your neighbors, you're going to find their first concern, but not everybody, I'm not trying to say everybody, exactly. You're going to find that your average person who's not jumped on the climate change bandwagon, who's just home, paying their bills, when you talk about all of this, money is going to be and the Board of Selectmen are no different. When they're talking about what's good for the town, they have to lean towards what's financially good for the town.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard, and what she was saying is that we all of us, have to look at what financial burden are we willing to bear to achieve our goals for climate. If that means we have to pay more for electricity, can we do that? Cape Light Compact's new 3-year plan, because every 3 years they have to make a plan that they have to submit to DPU, and it has to go through the process of being approved. They have a huge emphasis in the next 3-year plan on low income, because they're the people getting left in the dust.
Right.
Some of us have
justice.
we have the money to go out and buy solar panels, buy an electric car. We can do all of that. Some of us can do some of that.
No, I know.
And that's good, and it's a good thing that we are doing that, because, we're paving the way, we're helping to chip away at that carbon, so everybody who can should. But there's a whole lot of people who just can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so they're trying to get programs in place where weatherization, renewable energy like community solar can go to people living in Section 8 housing, or people living in rentals, or people, who are in subsidized housing, and make sure that they are not left behind, in the whole process.
I think that's
So we'll hear more about that, and I think the new laws, like the state legislation, as I hope to God Charlie signs tonight, and the new one that the federal government just put through.
Right.
I think there's a lot of emphasis on lower income and well, they're called justice, or what is it, community justice or
Environmental-
social justice? Environmental justice.
justice.
That's a huge part of a lot of this new
Mhm.
legislation, is to make sure that, you know, we're helping everybody, not just the rich people who can buy solar panels or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so
Got it.
when do we want to meet again?
Well, we agreed on the second
Thursday? was it?
Thursday.
Okay,
However,
However.
Which day is that?
that would be the second Thursday in September is the 8th? Wow, it's early, but that's what it is. However, we need to,
Yeah, I need to
See.
check where I am. So let's make it tentative, but you will tell
I'm
us.
gonna tell Sean, and what,
Yeah.
you know, if we say, was it the 8th you said?
yeah, that's the second Thursday.
September 8th, second Thursday. Now, does anybody here have a problem with that date right now?
I
You
didn't
have to
bring
check.
my
You have to
agenda.
check,
Yeah,
right?
if I have a problem, I'll let you know tonight.
Okay, so let me know right away, because I don't want to send Sean the 8th
Yeah, yeah,
and
I
then say, oh,
will.
by the way, it's not the 8th
I
anymore.
will tonight.
Yeah, and I'm good for any day except the third Thursday.
Okay,
However, if that is the one day
it's Sean.
that Sean is available, I will miss my Face Communities Environmental Network meeting. No, really.
Okay, so we'll pencil it in as September 8th.
Maybe we ought to ask, if that's not good, what time or day or?
Well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say, this is what we've scheduled. Please let me know if it works.
We really want to get this input, we don't want to keep going on for month after month and not getting any input back.
Yeah.
And
So we're willing to, if he can't make our meetings, we're willing to make a meeting with him. Tell him.
Right, I'll ask him that. You know, I'll tell him, this is what we've penciled in. Is there any other time that would work for you? You know,
He
let
seems
me
to always have
Sound
an
terrific.
engagement at this time.
his wife's birthday.
Now he's on vacation. How dare he go on vacation?
So,
All right,
Charlie, it is 4:37.
we've adjourned at 4:37.
Okay.
All right, well, that was a good presentation that Maria gave us.
Yes,
It was,
very
but
helpful.
I have to tell you quite honestly that my eyes were crossing.
I know.
So much of it was like,
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of us have been, I've
Yeah.
been in this a lot longer, and a lot of the terms are familiar, but, and that
Yeah.
also is part of the problem when you're talking to people about this, is that it is a whole different language, it's a whole
It's-
different way of thinking about this.
It's
Yeah.
a very specific area.
It is
Yeah.
very specific.
but I will tell you that it is possible to get up to speed. You just have to realize